one of my favorites, my caramel pecan cinnamon rolls. Let's just make sure that everything is working. And hold on, oops, wrong thing. I think I have both Facebook and YouTube working today. Knock on wood, fingers crossed. Looks like everything's going smoothly. So if you were watching and you're able to see me and hear me, let me know in the comments so I know how everything's going. Okay. I am super excited about this, so we're just going to jump right into it. Just making sure I can get the comments. And nope, not groups, just Ashlee. Ugh. And of course Facebook on my app is not wanting to play nice. So looks like we got it going. Okay. Whew. Oh no, what'd I just do? My finger touched it and it went away. Okay. This is like the other breads that we have made recently. We've made homemade white bread. We've made homemade bagels. We've made so many things. Anyway, this is also a yeast-based bread, but unlike the other ones, this uses all-purpose flour, not bread flour. So if you've had, again, you can always substitute all-purpose flour for bread flour. It will change the texture a little bit, but that should work for all your other ones. This one is made for all-purpose flour though, so it's even better. And it's great because I'm actually out of bread flour, but I have plenty of all-purpose flour. So we're gonna get started. You like my blue hair? Oh, thank you so much. It's super faded because, like the rest of you, can't get to anywhere. All right, yeast-based bread. So the first thing that I'm going to do is we need warm water because that activates the yeast. So So we're actually going to be using warm milk and melted butter as some of the main fats and liquid in this recipe. So we're just using enough water to get the yeast activated. So this is a half a cup. I used my hot water, so I'm going to take the temperature, and we're good, so I don't need to heat it all because my water gets hot. And we have our yeast, and we have just a little bit of sugar just to help activate the yeast. I'm going to put that in there, give it a little stir, and we're going to let that sit for about 5 to 10 minutes is how long I like to let my yeast get active. So let's put a timer on. Okay, so I'm going to get my butter and I'm going to melt it. And one of the things that you want to be aware of, if you don't want to melt your butter too hot, because again, just like the water, you want the water to be between 110 degrees and 115 degrees to activate the yeast without being too hot and killing it, or too cold not activating enough. You don't want that, you don't want to pour that butter in there at too high a temperature and to kill your yeast or your milk. So we're also going to heat up our milk. We're also going to heat the milk up a little bit because we don't want it to be too cold and pause the yeast once we've got it started. So about 30 seconds usually is enough for both. Now I pull the butter out before it's melted all the way, and here is why. As you can see, it's still a little chunky, but it's pretty warm, the part that is melted. So just stirring it for a couple seconds will get it completely melted. We can take the temperature and make sure that it's not too hot. It's a little warm, so hope in the next 5 minutes it's going to cool down a little bit and we should be good. Let's check our milk. Okay. And our milk's a little cool. So what we'll do, we'll add the milk first, then we'll add the butter. The milk will slightly cool it down, but then the butter will warm it back up and it should be just fine. Adding cold milk isn't going to kill everything. It's not going to kill anything at all. It's just going to slow down the process. So by having your butter and your milk at about the same temperature that you already have activated your yeast to, you're going to have a lot better results. So next up, here's the sampling that we've already made. As you can see, we have caramel. This is what we're making today. There's caramel sauce in the bottom along with nuts. Then there's all of these rolls down inside it. And I've let them, the dough has risen. I've shaped them. They've had a chance to get poofy again. And it's, oh, come on. Come on, camera. It's almost time to put them in the oven. So the oven just said it's preheated, which means it's almost preheated. So I'm going to put on a timer to remind myself so I don't forget. That just in a couple more minutes, I'm going to throw those in there so that they'll be done around the time that we're done with all of this stuff, and we'll be able to move on to the final product. So, Cindy, Angie, Barbara, Amelia, hi! Welcome, welcome. Bernice, Rami, Carmen, Julie, Joseph, and Brittany. Welcome. Brittany, you found yeast the other day. Yay! And you can't find bread flour. I am having trouble finding bread flour right now too, although I have been able to find quite a bit of yeast. So hopefully everybody else is going to hit that starting to find yeast stage. I reminded you guys on Thursday, remember to check the smaller stores, not the big huge ones where everybody's going in there run out faster, or see on Facebook that there's a community group in your area where people are like sharing information and letting you know, I found it here, I found it here. I've been invited to like 3 different groups, and my area cannot be the only one where people are sharing information where they're finding stuff. So again, still haven't found bread flour. All-purpose flour will work for all those other recipes that we've done. Change the texture slightly, but you probably won't even notice. It's more of a, the feel of the dough will be different. The final outcome will be okay. Because again, when I made the white bread 2 weeks ago, I showed you the white bread with the bread flour and without the bread flour, and you could see that there was a difference, but very small. But anyway, this recipe is all-purpose flour, so yay. All right, this has gotten nice and poofy. And we're going to add our other ingredients. So, I'm going to add my milk. And I'm going to add my melted butter. We're going to add the rest of the sugar. I'm going to add an egg. Stir that all together. We just want that to get started. So now we're going to add about 2/3 of the flour for the recipe. Once that's all incorporated pretty well and we have kind of a pasty dough, we're going to start adding the rest of the flour about 1/2 cup at a time until we get the texture that we're looking for. And you can see the dough starting to clean the sides. Not all the way though. I am going to, because this is a smaller batch, this is just making one pan, or I usually make multiple pans, I am going to scrape down these higher sides. We will still be able to see when it's naturally cleaning the pan, so don't worry about that. Add a little more flour. Alright, so you can see it's starting to clean the sides up real good. The center is still pretty messy, but that is fine. We're going to add just a little bit more now. I start adding less and less and less as we get closer to the final outcome we're looking for. And now it's cleaning the center post as well. Everything's getting clean. So this is exactly what we want. I'm going to let it knead for just a couple more seconds. Okay, and I have sprayed a bowl with non-stick spray, and we're gonna pour it into there and let it rise for the first rise. All right, pull the dough hook off. Put a quick wipe down. Now this is a stickier dough than the other doughs that we've been working with for like the bread and the bagels. It's more, I guess the word isn't sticky, because it's really not sticky. I mean, I'm not getting stuff on my hands. It's that it's a goopier dough, a wetter dough. Evelyn says that Smart and Final has bags of bread flour in her area, so check that out. Thank you so much, Evelyn. Baroque Baker, hello from the spa. That would be nice, from Pennsylvania. Welcome, welcome. All right, so you can see this is just kind of a much softer, stretchier dough than the other ones that we have been working with, which is just fine. So that's what it looks like. There. And this is what it looks like after a rising. So, doubled inside, a little bit smoother. It's still a pretty squishy dough compared to this one. So, I'm going to cover it with a towel and put it aside to rise. Yes, I'm going to have 3 dozen by the end of this. Okay. Sprinkle a little flour on your work surface and bring that dough out. Now, unlike my other doughs, I'm actually not going to ball this one up before we get started. I am going to kind of pull it into a rectangle shape. It's because it's such a soft dough, it tears really easily. It doesn't have the strength of our other doughs. So, but it also means it stretches into place really nicely. So, still on the kind of the thick side. Sprinkle on a little bit of flour. Pull it, flip it one more time. And I'm going to roll it out. Now I like more swirls in my cinnamon rolls. Some people like their dough thicker and having less swirls, and some people like more swirls and thinner dough. So this is the step where you choose. The less you roll it out, the thicker your dough is going to be, and the more swirls you're going to have. So for example, this is what our final outcome is going to look like. I like more of the Cinnabon multi-swirled thinner bread, more ooey, gooey, sugary goodness. Alright, sorry, putting these in the oven. Okay, so I thought I switched to the other camera, but I did not. Anyway, so I roll mine out a little more, and I try to get my edges as square as possible, just so that when we roll the final roll, we don't have a piece on the end that's really bad. Now, hold on. The height that you roll it I'm going to roll it this way so we get all this into a swirl. So you want it to be at least 12 inches tall because that's what's going to give us our inch tall 12 rolls. We're going to cut from this side. So I try not to go, I like them about an inch high before they go in the oven. So again, you're looking for about 12 inches tall. And then the more you roll it out this way, the more swirls you're going to have. And try to get it as even as possible. I'm really handsy with this dough. You can kind of feel thinner spots and adjust accordingly. All right, that is pretty. Now we're going to add our butter to this. Again, there's two trains of thoughts. There's two trains of thoughts with this. Some people like to melt their butter, and some people, like me, just like to use softened butter. And I use anywhere from half a cube to a full cube, kind of depending on how big my thing gets. Usually about 3/4 of a cube. Hold on, opening up another one. Thought I had it opened and I did not. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to make the caramel sauce for this. This is going to be fun. Because now we're going to have to move these rolls off this to make the caramel sauce. Yeah. Okay. That is what happens when you get distracted. I was so excited that I got both Facebook and YouTube to work today. Since Thursday, Facebook would just not cooperate. It wouldn't work at all. And I got distracted. All right. This is gonna be messy. All right. And the reason I use my hands instead of like using a spatula is your hands, you're able to be more delicate and not put as much pressure on the dough. And again, this is a really soft, squishy dough. So it's a little bit more sensitive than our other doughs. Wash your hands, lots of soap. All right, now for the topping. We're going to mix. Another thing I usually like to do before I roll it out. Once you roll it out, you're kind of stuck. Rose, there's a link in the video in the description box that has a recipe. All right, so I like to mix brown sugar and white sugar, and then tablespoon of cinnamon, and break up that brown sugar and mix your sugars together. Look out for any brown sugar clumps. We don't want that. Now the reason I don't just use white sugar and cinnamon is, which is a totally great flavor, but the brown sugar just gives it such a great depth of flavor. I just really like. Now, I'm doing way more swirls than a lot of people like. If you like yours less swirly, you don't have to make up this much mixture, right? Because this mixture would be too much. And I use the whole thing. Again, spread it out all the way to the edge. And yes, this is a thick amount, but this is going to give you more goopy stuff in your cinnamon rolls, which again, this is more of a Cinnabon copycat recipe, so this is just how I like it. But the best part about cooking from scratch, of course, is being able to personalize it. So if you don't want to use this much filling, don't use this much filling. Easy peasy. You do not ever have to follow a recipe exactly how it's written. you can always change it up, personalize it, and make it more something that's your style and the way that you eat. Like, I have a sister who's, who's, dare I say it, healthy. She's all skinny and in shape and runs and fit. And anyway, she's a wonderful sister, but gag. Always take your time on that first start. Once you get it going, it should just roll up really, really easily. And again, by rolling it this way instead of this way, we're getting all those swirls in there. All right, I'm gonna leave that off to the side. We're gonna make the caramel sauce. Ooh, clean the counter. Anyway, I have a sister who's super healthy. She would never in a million years use this much butter or this much filling or this many swirls in her homemade cinnamon rolls. So there's that. We cook very, very differently. Okay. So, caramel sauce. This is great to make while your dough is rising. All right. Oh, my plug got bent. Trying to keep the plug off of my cinnamon roll. All right. So, caramel sauce is perfect to make while your dough is rising. You should let your dough rise for about an hour. The hotter your house, the less time it needs to rise. The cooler, the more time you need to let it rise. For this, we're going to, oh, there it is. I'm like, where are all my ingredients for this? Okay, so for caramel sauce, we have, oh, cameras change. We have butter, white sugar, brown sugar. Now, technically, white sugar is caramel sauce, brown sugar is butterscotch sauce. So my half and half is kind of the best of both worlds, but technically it's more of like a butter caramel scotch, I guess. All right, and then corn syrup. And like I've said before, and I will say many, many, many times, corn syrup that you get at the store is not the same thing as high fructose corn syrup that everybody's so freaked out about in their foods. So it actually plays a really important role in candy making and sauces and marshmallows and stuff like that. This keeps your sauce from getting super grainy. Now, if you don't use this sauce fresh and you put it in the fridge and you reheat it, chill it, reheat it, chill it, reheat it, chill it, reheat it, chill it, it will eventually get grainy. But what corn syrup does is it keeps it from getting grainy right away. It gives it a great shine, good body, and strength. You can leave it out. You're going to want to add a little bit more butter in that case to give yourself just a little bit more liquid. But yes, I highly recommend using corn syrup when you're making caramels, marshmallows, candies, hot fudge, caramel sauce, marshmallow topping, marshmallow frosting, like even regular frosting. It just really gives it, a couple tablespoons will really help give body and strength and shine and a better overall mouthfeel to all of those candies. All right, let's go back to our overhead. Anastasia, hello, welcome. Rachel, welcome. Joseph, hello again. Do you want me to a little bit about me? I'm not quite sure what you're asking, Joseph. Sorry. You finally just found yeast the other day. You can't find bread flour though. Yes, check the smaller stores as they don't seem to have quite the same demand. That's where I have found the best luck. But again, I haven't found bread flour either. It feels like the flour companies are really pushing their all-purpose out because that's what's more in demand. And I think bread flour just isn't getting pushed out as much. So, but if you find it, a couple small stores still have it. I'm I don't need it enough that I'm running around like a crazy person trying to find it. If somebody tells me that it's someplace close, I'll go and grab some. But I'm not, I can get away with using all-purpose flour 90% of the time for most things. Plus, my Costco had plenty of, let's see, they didn't have yeast, but they had plenty of bread and tortillas and a lot of those stuff that you use yeast for. So, of course, me being me, I have like 3 containers of yeast in my freezer, and I've offered them to my neighbors and stuff like that. So, I cannot wait to stock back up though. I always keep, once I open one, I buy another one. So I always have an unopened package of yeast in my freezer just because you never know. But I also have a lot of food storage, like 150 pounds of all-purpose flour, 150 pounds of sugar, 150 pounds of rice, 75 pounds of oatmeal, 100 pounds of beans. I don't know. It's not enough to get me by for a super long time, but it's enough that when all this stuff happened, I didn't panic. Should have panicked about bread flour. Didn't think about that. I had like 50 pounds of bread flour, and I thought I was okay, but I kind of didn't think about all the stuff that I'd be making that requires bread flour. Anyway, let's go back to our sauce. So what we're trying to do is just, we want to melt the sugars. Like, look how grainy that is right now. That is not going to create a good sauce. So we want to bring this to a nice rolling boil and get all of that sugar completely dissolved. Now, because this is a stainless steel pan, I'm constantly stirring and scraping because I do not want to burn this. If you're using a non-stick pan, you don't have to be quite so vigilant. All right, I'm also getting the whipping cream out. So I have the whipping cream out and ready for the caramel sauce. So with making caramels, you don't use whipping cream. Making caramel sauce, you do. So you get a lot of your stuff at some local farms. It sounds strange, but they have it. That's true. And a lot of like restaurant supply stores who aren't selling to restaurants because restaurants aren't working, they can come across a lot as well. Tina, can I come to your house and make these for you? Probably not because of self-distancing, but they're really, really easy to make, I promise. Joseph, what is next week? I haven't really thought about it. I was thinking homemade snowballs for one of the videos. Maybe sweet coconut bread. It's a quick bread that doesn't need any yeast for another one. Would anybody be interested in muffins? I have a poppy seed muffin recipe or a chocolate chip muffin recipe that I really love that we make all the time. Yeah, just tell me what you guys are interested in. All right, we're almost there. You can see it's still grainy, but it's not as bad. Let's see if we can get a little closer. Right? You can still see the flecks of graininess, but we're getting close. Almost there. Jerry, you like muffins? Danielle, you love all my goods. Thanks for taking the time to share. You're so welcome. Greetings from the Netherlands. Hello, Bianca. It's bedtime over here, but you watched my video first. You're so sweet. Darlene, you're here from, wow, Western Australia. Is that called Yarloop? Yarlop or Yarloop? Darlene, welcome, welcome. Now, is it morning for you, I would assume? Right? Elise, hello. Welcome, welcome. All right, so we're getting to, it's starting to boil, and we want it to be a nice rolling boil, and we're going to take it off the heat. So just give it another second. It shouldn't take long. Whew, caught it. Saw that going in. Again, usually with candy making, you don't want to stir this much, but because we're making a sauce and not a candy, and I'm using a stainless steel pan, I'm just constantly stirring it. All right, got a nice rolling boil. We've still got a little bit of graininess in there, so I'm just going to give it a couple more seconds. One of the ways that you can test your graininess level, Mary from Houston, Texas. I used to live in Houston. I love it. And Deborah from Delight, Arkansas. Welcome, welcome. If you can't tell by looking and you think it might be a little grainy, pull this up, wait for it to cool down a little bit, and then rub it between your fingers. And if there's any graininess, you'll be able to feel it. But Let it cool first. Otherwise you'll just burn yourself. Yes, it is morning. Ooh, you're currently making donuts. Wonderful. I just did a donut video about 2 months ago, I think. We love making donuts. We're making cake donuts or yeast donuts. All right. We're almost there. Okay, I'm getting a nice clear, it has a lot of bubbles, but I'm getting a nice clear caramel sauce. Nice rolling boil, nice clear caramel sauce. All right, I'm going to take this off the heat now. We're going to take this away. Okay. Now, if I poured in all of this, cold whipping cream all at once, it would cause the caramel to seize and it wouldn't stir back in, and it would be all thick and chunky. So what you want to do is just pour a little stream in, and then pour a little bit more in until it starts to calm down a little bit. You can see it's already getting a lot calmer. And then once you're not getting a lot of bubbles anymore, then you should be able to just pour the rest in. And scrape all the goodness. Don't want anything left behind. Now, my recipe does not call for vanilla, but vanilla is a flavor enhancer, and so sometimes I add it and sometimes I don't. It's totally optional. I added it to my earlier batch today, so I'm going to add it again. So if I have any leftovers, I can mix the batches together. So about half a teaspoon. And done. Oh, I'm getting out a measuring cup, sorry. Okay, now this size batch should make 2 cups of caramel, give or take just a little bit. Now I make sure not to scrape the bottom of the pan. If there is anything that's cooked on there or burnt on there, I don't want it in my sauce. So I just take what pours. You can scrape like right here, but be careful not to scrape the sides or the bottom, or that will introduce graininess to the sauce, and you do not want that. Okay. So now we have, now usually I make the caramel sauce at the beginning, right after I finish the dough, so at the beginning of the rise, and that will give it time. Like this is the caramel sauce I made earlier today. That'll give it time to cool a little bit. So we're actually going to start with this caramel sauce on the bottom just because it's a little bit cooler. I'm actually going to mix the two because you want to use about just over a cup, maybe like a cup and a quarter on the bottom. So I'm just mixing it a little bit of the warm stuff with my cooler stuff so I get the amount that I want, but it's going to be thicker because it's a little bit cooler. I'm just going to pour that right in the bottom of my 9x13 pan. Because of the caramel sauce, I'm not spraying the pan. Typically when I make cinnamon rolls, I spray the pan with a non-stick baking spray, but in this case, I am not doing that. Making sure I get all the corners. There we go. Okay. Let's get back to our rolls now. Oh! I forgot something else. Oh my word. Okay. We're gonna try something. All right. We're gonna try to unroll this. It is going to be very, very messy, but I forgot to add the pecans inside. Look how much that dough is stretched out those edges. Okay. So I have pecan chips that I'm going to sprinkle all over the filling. And then we're going to roll it up again. Oh, you guys, me and my live stream brain. I mean, I just made a batch, right? And yet forgot something so simple. You know what else would be good inside this? Would be fresh toffee chunks. Toffee chunks would be really good inside this as well. Okay. Yay! That worked pretty good. Not bad at all. Alright, so this is one of those recipes where you want to read my instructions and follow those and just watch the video for tips on certain things. Oh my word. Okay, so first make the dough, then make the caramel sauce. Let the caramel sauce cool while the dough is rising. Once you roll out the dough and you add the toppings, don't forget the pecans before you roll it up. Oh my word. Alright, I'm going to check and see how these are doing in the oven. Not done yet. Okay. Couple more minutes. In the meantime, we're going to take our floss, nice long strand. Make sure it is flavorless floss. You do not want mint floss when doing this. All right, I'm drying off the counter. All right, the trick to cutting cinnamon rolls is floss. So I'm gonna lift up my roll, trying to get it just a little centered so you can see. So you want to take your floss, find the halfway mark of your roll up, twist the floss over and just pull. Now we're going to go halfway again. Now you can make 12 to 15 rolls, kind of depending on how the space that you want them to take in your pan. I'm going to do 12 today just because it's so much easier to cut than 15. So once you get half and half, so quarters, now we're going to cut them into thirds. Other side. All right. Now we're going to start putting them in the pan. Now typically I would put the ugly end downside up, so the pretty would be on top. But because in this cinnamon roll we're not going to leave them in the pan to serve them, we're going to flip the pan upside down, so the bottom is going to be the top. So in this case, I'm going to put the ugly side up and the pretty side down. And we'll keep cutting. Now when I do 15 rolls, I still do 3 across, and I just do 5 this way instead of the 3 by 4 that we're going to do with the 12 rolls. You can see why you want it to be long. You want to really be able to grab hold of the ends of your strands. Come on. All right, I'm gonna pull those out real fast. Hold on one second. Alright, you can see the caramel sauce bubbling along the sides. Yeah, this looks good. You know what? Okay, sorry. We want to flip that in just a minute, so try to hurry through finishing this up. And cut. You've added them in the caramel before the pan before. Okay. Whoop, these rolls are trying to spread in this caramel sauce. And final cut. And again, we're going to do ugly side up. Clean up the counter again. All right. Oop. I don't know what happened there. And we're going to set these aside to get a little poofy. Or if you're not going to cook them right away, this is where you'd want to put them in the freezer or the fridge. Now, because of the caramel sauce, if you put it in the freezer, you're going to have to let it thaw completely before you put it in the oven. If you put it in the fridge, it will slow down the yeast but not stop it entirely. So this is great if you're making it the night before, put it in the fridge, cook it in the morning. If you are making it like right now, I have a dozen already, I don't need a dozen more, wrap it in foil a couple times and stick it in the freezer, and you can leave it there for like about 6 weeks. Again, it's more about the freezer burn because nothing's pressed right on top. It's more about the freezer burn than it is the age of the dough that you're looking out for there. Okay. We are going to we're going to flip the rolls out. I'm going to get parchment paper. Okay. Okay, so we have our rolls. I'm going to put this parchment paper and pan on top like that. We're going to use your hot pad holders because the pan is still nice and warm. And we're going to flip it like that. And you can immediately see everything start to pull away. And as soon as we pull this off, it's just going to go all goopy everywhere, nuts, caramel sauce. So then here's the question, to frost or not to frost? This is definitely going to be sweet enough on its own. You don't need anything else. But if you are a fan of Cinnabon like me, their caramel pecans, they do add frosting to it. Now, the other question with cinnamon rolls is icing or frosting. Icing is just powdered sugar and like a little milk, maybe some vanilla, and frosting is cream cheese frosting. I am of the belief that cinnamon rolls should have frosting, cream cheese frosting. when you get those little cans of cinnamon rolls at the store and you bake them and they give you that little icing drizzle on top, I'm sorry, that's not okay. That's never enough for me. So these you can eat just as they are, or you can add frosting to. So we're going to make a small batch of cream cheese frosting so I can show you both effects. Because yeah, if I'm going for rich decadent dessert, I'm all in. I'm going to go all in rich decadent dessert. Okay, so I'm putting that off to the side. We're going to bring our mixer back and make a quick batch of cream cheese frosting. Oh, I forgot something else. The caramel sauce in the bottom of the pan, before you put the cinnamon rolls in, I always sprinkle more nuts on. So you can see that in the pan I just flipped over, there's nuts all over it. That's why. Oh my gosh. Read the directions. Oh. I mean, seriously, I just made a batch. I don't know what it is about me and those pecans. Probably because I make traditional cinnamon rolls so much more often than these caramel pecan ones. Ugh, my brain, getting old. All right, so I always add a little softened butter in with my cream cheese for my cream cheese frosting. I feel like it gives it a little bit better texture, a little bit better flavor. Hold on a second. I did not pre-open my cream cheese because I didn't want it to dry out when I was prepping all the other ingredients earlier today. I swear. Sometimes these are super easy to open and sometimes it's torture. All right, so we're going to beat these two together first. Nice and creamy, because nobody wants cream cheese chunks. I'm going to quickly, because this is such a small batch, I'm going to quickly scrape the bottom before I call it good. Alright, then we're going to add some vanilla. Ooh, too much salt. That is the worst. I have done that making my Texas sheet cake. We had one of those too many cooks in the kitchen moment, and somebody else added salt, and then I added salt, and somebody else added salt. They were unedible. And then how much powdered sugar you add is kind of up to you and the texture that you're looking for in your cream cheese frosting. Now I like my cinnamon roll frosting to be on the thicker side, so I'm going to add a little bit more. Just making sure I got it all in and got all those chunks out. There we go. Mary, I'm making you hungry. Good, that's my job. So I like it, like I said, like on the thicker side, so this is perfection for me. Again, if you're more of the cinnamon rolls only need a little bit of icing type people, I might not be the chef for you. Okay. Yes, pull this out, move this aside. Oh. Bring our, even the whole pan has gotten warm now. Bring our pan back into place. All right, now we're going to do the fun job of pulling the glass off. Always need to get a little lip. Need something to grip. There we go. Wow. Oh, that smells so good. All right, let's get some plates. I'm going to pull one out as is. All right. Ooh. Okay. Pull the one out as is. And then we're gonna pull one out and frost. Be careful, they're still really, really hot. Okay, so we have our as-is, and we have our cinnamon roll version, or our Cinnabon version with our frosting. Then the final question is, do you serve it warm and add the frosting warm, or do you let them cool down and then add the frosting? If you add the frosting right away, the frosting kind of permeates and gets into all the swirls and all the rolls, but it loses a lot of its creaminess, right? Then you just have this creamy cinnamon roll. So I tend to do both. I tend to add a little bit now, let it sit and permeate, and maybe add a little bit more right before eating. I'm just saying, if you're gonna go for it. What's another spoonful of cream cheese frosting? You know, very little in the grand scheme of things. Okay. Joseph, could you pick the video next week? You want chocolate chip muffins? Sure. You know what? Let me double check. I think I might have done a live stream on my chocolate chip muffins already. If I have not, we will do muffins, and I'll do chocolate chip muffins and poppy seed muffins maybe in the same video. You're from Minnesota. Hello from Thailand. I am so sorry I cannot read your name, but welcome. So glad that you are here. Do I know Costa Rica? I do, although I've never been. My sister's been a lot, and my uncle used to live there. Joseph, how many months have I followed you? You followed me. I want to say it's been like 3 months since you started watching my live stream videos. And yes, of course, you can always tell me more about you. Jennifer, hello. What kind of mixer is that? You've never seen one, Lisa? It is a Bosch universal mixer. I believe if you click over to the recipe on my site, there's a link to it. If not, once I get off of this, I will link over and comment. Okay, so we have our melty gooey and our gooey no frosting version. Okay. Oh, look at that. Again, I like my rolls thinner, more goopy, more swirls. If you like yours less swirly, thicker, just don't roll it out as thin. You can also add extra caramel to the top. Hot, oh hot. And you can see those pecans that I put down. So when you pour the caramel in the bottom of your pan, sprinkle on some extra pecans as well. So I have some extra pecans here to the side. You could add fresh pecans always. And of course, you could drizzle on a little bit extra caramel sauce. So now we have a copycat Cinnabon gloriousness right here, right? With that cream cheese frosting. Look at that. Look at that gooey frosting. Like, who doesn't want frosting along with their cinnamon roll? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I just call it like I see it. The caramel gets really warm. Oh, big bite. So good. so, so good. Right. Obviously, if you don't want to do the caramel pecan, and you just want normal cinnamon rolls, the recipe is exactly the same. You just don't make the caramel or add the pecans. Other variations I've done, maple bacon. I add chunks of thick cut bacon that I've cooked and chopped. I don't like adding, some people add just raw bacon right to the middle of all their cinnamon rolls. I don't like that because it's really hard to cut and eat. So I pre-cook my bacon, chop it up, sprinkle it inside, like where you saw me do the pecans, and then I add a little bit of maple flavor to the cream cheese frosting. Other versions I've done are pumpkin maple, chocolate, which was, I will admit, a little much. That was too rich for me. And that's saying something, as you guys have seen what I like to eat. And then citrus. Instead of adding cinnamon and brown sugar, use all white sugar and use orange zest. And then in the frosting, a little orange zest, a little orange juice to the frosting as well. And then you have orange rolls. So that is it for this video. It looks like next week we'll be doing a muffin video. This should be illegal. Maybe. I would, if it was like the prohibition of sweets, I would be the underground sweet mafia, where everybody came and to eat all the sweets. Hope you grow. You need this right now. You've seen how fast it is for me to make this. How long has this video been going on? Not too long. Darlene, yeast donuts. Nice. With, ooh, raspberry cream scrolls. That sounds amazing. That sounds so good. Greeting from the Netherlands, Bianca. So I'm just making sure that I'm all caught up with comments in case I missed anything. Vivian, can I tell you what brand the Kitchen Assist? No, it's not a KitchenAid. It's a Bosch universal mixer. My parents had one when I was growing up. My grandma had one growing up. My ex-mother-in-law grew up with one. They're more popular here in Utah. I don't know why they caught on here, not anywhere else, but they're Bosch, B-O-S-C-H, the big German company. It's a different division than but I have a Bosch dishwasher, Bosch washer and dryer, Bosch mixer. Like, I'm a huge Bosch fan. They want to send me an oven, I wouldn't say no. But yes, it is amazing. I have a blog post all about the differences between the KitchenAid and the Bosch. When I was on Food Network, they had KitchenAids there and you had to use it. It was horrific for me. It was so weak and so slow. Like, oh, everything took twice as long to make. It was really frustrating. So I love my Bosch. Alex, hello from England. I was actually there a year and a half ago for a 3-day weekend with my son for his 13th birthday, and we had so much fun, but I need to go back because I didn't get to all the fun places. We didn't get to do Stonehenge because we were there for such a short period of time. We just did all the Harry Potter stuff. And I want to do Bath. So let me know where else I should go because I'm planning a big Scotland-England trip. Not this summer, but next summer when traveling is back to normal, I hope. You made yours with dried cranberries, Chris and Ollie. Yeah, that's you can literally make cinnamon rolls with so many variations and so many things and stuff. And like I said, oftentimes I'll add toffee to this version as well. So I have the caramel, the toffee, and the pecans. It looks amazing. Thank you, Nor. Okay, I think. Hello from Syria. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. All right, I think that is it. I will be live again next Tuesday, 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. And I will go live Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday next week, just trying to help keep you guys occupied and less bored during this quarantine. As soon as the quarantine is over, I will go back to my normal schedule of just Tuesdays, just because other stuff in my life is getting ignored while I do this. But we're all bored, we're all stuck at home, and hopefully this is something fun and enjoyable for you. If you are watching on Facebook, don't forget to like my page so that you get notifications when I go live. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell. If you don't hit the bell, subscribing really doesn't do a lot of good because you don't get notified. I don't know why they made that change, but they did. So hit the notification and the bell. I know, it's awkward. If you make anything that you've seen on my website or on my YouTube channel or my Facebook page and you create it and make it, please share it on social media and tag me, and I will share it in my Instagram stories. So again, thank you so much. Sarah, hello from Belgium. You love cinnamon rolls. Oh, They're seriously the best. Hopefully you enjoy watching this video and getting this recipe. You can't wait to try this recipe. You've been wanting a new one. Paula, let me know what you think. You've tried the all chocolate. It is too much, right? I think I would do, instead of chocolate cinnamon rolls, I would just do chocolate chips. I would do chocolate chips inside the cinnamon rolls, or like where I did toffee here. And maybe still do the frosting cream cheese chocolate. I don't know. It was a lot with the chocolate roll and the chocolate filling, because I did cocoa powder instead of cinnamon. Actually, I did cocoa powder and cinnamon. It's been a while since I made it because it was too much. And then the chocolate chips inside, and then the chocolate frosting as well. It was a lot, and that's saying something. It takes a lot to be too rich for me. Anyway, thank you guys all for joining me, and I will see you next Tuesday. Bye. Bye-bye. If I can actually get this to end. My touchscreen doesn't want to work again. And bend. There we go. Oh, come on. And yay!